finish getting set up. My computer's been really laggy. First off, let's turn on monetization. I was playing this a little bit, trying to get more like experience points, and I tried to find a certain Uruk captain that was bodyguard of the first target I'm gonna try branding here, but I couldn't find him. He like just wasn't spawning or whatever. Turn on monetization. Hate that that's not the default. Let's get back to the video. That link. Hello Shiro 2.0. Feeling a little groggy today, so I don't know how this is gonna go. I think I was kind of coughing up some stuff just a little while ago. So on the agenda today, I'm gonna brand the other 3 war chiefs that I still have to brand. But while I'm doing all this, I'm also going to be reading from this Google Doc that I will post in the chat in just a moment. Just detailing what was said in the RWBY Volume 7 commentary, which was just released a few weeks ago, I think, at this point. We were talking about maybe doing a podcast on it. I was talking about maybe doing a video on it, similar to what I did with the Oscars. But as I was reading, I was like, this is actually kind of innocuous. I don't get why people are throwing such a hissy fit over it. Like it all tracks. Like there's nothing that surprised me, really. So I'm not gonna have a lot of commentary to say on the commentary. But I will be reading this doc pretty much verbatim and giving my any thoughts I have on it. First, let's actually do one of these. I haven't done one of these in a while, just to get kind of warmed up. Even though gameplay wise I'm already warmed up. Just to let people kind of file in here, anyone who wants. Oh, I should probably tweet this out too. Kill 5 Uruks with headshots. That should be easy. Nope, that is the wrong link. I want to post a link to the video, not the Google Doc. I have to recopy it. Boom. There we go. Alright, rescue 3 slaves, kill 5 Uruks with headshots. This should be easy.
There was a bunch of slave meat here earlier, and now it's all war.
This guy's at a weird angle, so I'm gonna just gut him. Try to get the bonus objective right away, you know.
Our warriors deserve more than that.
That headshot? I think so. Oh, accidentally killed my own guy there. Okay, I gotta get one more headshot, and I can just go ham. I'm a terrible shot if you didn't know. Okay, I think there's one more guy who's like a bodyguard that I don't know about. Yeah, this guy. Should it? Yeah, instantly by combat finisher. Shouldn't be a problem. Not worth branding. How's all my audio levels? It's been a while since I've streamed. Come on. Oh shit. I got hit by both of those berserkers.
Cut me down or kill me.
That was cathartic.
You weren't alone.
Got 5 watching
Find
now.
our friends.
It's usually about the average for these Shadows of Mordor streams. All the way over. I wonder if I can. Yeah. I don't have enough. Don't have enough elf shot. Okay, I'll just get it from this guy. There we go. That should be enough. 7 watching now. A little more won't hurt.
I'm sorry I stared at Slayer. It's just something I do. You are mine.
gain intel on this guy, because he's a bodyguard. Alright. That's all taken care of. Let's go over this way. Spear guys are annoying. They break your combo and there's no way to really counter them.
No one to save you. You're done. Oh, escaping flame.
Uh-oh. That guy's in trouble.
Take his limbs.
No. I had to save my guy there. Oh my god, now there's ghouls? Fine, I don't want my captain to die after I worked so hard to recruit him. And he's still alive. Good. Alright, so before I start this, let's start reading this commentary. Alright, so chapter 1. A large portion of this episode was originally intended to be a part of volume 6. Miles explains that a part of them thought it would be cool to end on a good note with the return of Penny, but ultimately decided leaving off on a more uncertain note would be better for the story and was a more natural ending. Yeah, we already knew this. In fact, I recall talking about it on the podcast for Volume 7, Chapter 1. Because that information had already been released. Carrie says that everything in this episode up until the pity moment was pretty much the same as originally intended in Volume 6, barring a few minor tweaks. Well, duh. They literally just said that, like, oh, yeah, duh. Barring a few minor tweaks, that means that's a useless statement. Miles wrote the first pass of the episode with Carrie coming in to pretty it up, at which point they added the Grim fight. Carrie also wrote the Aesop's introduction. Okay, so we know who did what. Mantle and Atlas was a secondary reason for pushing most of the episode of Volume 7. By moving it, they didn't have to rush production for the cities, and would properly do them justice. That came through. Mantle and Atlas, particularly Mantle, and the personality that those cities had, was one of the better parts of Volume 7. Talking about the two cities, Miles describes them always imagining Mantle as being a little Blade Runner function over fashion, very utilitarian looking future city, and had the technology faceted onto it, while the other had it built around. I don't think that comes through. At Atlas's design is not very utilitarian. I don't know if they know what utilitarian means. Utilitarian would, if it was utilitarian, it would be a bunch of like just normal rectangular buildings and normal like very simply designed airships and stuff. But as far as like Atlas as looking like it was made by Apple, very sleek, pretty, and pristine, yeah, that tracks. That's about what Atlas looks like. Carrie talks about drawing inspiration from and comparing places from the real world when thinking about the Four Kingdoms, with Atlas and Mantle being America. See, this is kind of dumb because everything in RWBY is America, because Miles and Carrie are Americans and aren't like super knowledgeable about geography and how geography works.
We must find a vantage from which to strike.
Oh, I have to get all the way up there. Shouldn't be an issue with the Shadow Strike power. Okay, trick shot him from there. Nope. It'd be cool if I could.
The claw killed a few Uruk and didn't get a single injury. I killed a bunch of ghouls, and I didn't even get a single bruise.
How do I get up there?
I've seen the ranger riding a Caragor, so it can't be the right one. They seems the war chief's easy ride's done.
Alright, carrying on with this, oh yeah, with the Mantle and Atlas being America, like, yeah, Mantle is very much like coal miner town, Pennsylvania. Atlas is very New York. Vale is very kind of European, but it's very like East Coast inspired. Like, not Boston. The architecture is too simple for that, but like Baltimore, or even like a Midwest area like Chicago. Then Vacuo, we haven't seen it yet, but like, come on, Arizona exists. This the other? No, this is not one of my target's bodyguards, but like, I just have a feeling that he's gonna be an issue. He's a pretty high level captain. I'm wondering if I should kill those three. Ah!
Get behind him!
Supposed to get through without being noticed. So now I have to start over again.
Who do you think would be best to fight the duel? An elf or a wizard? Don't matter. I can beat any of them.
A wizard would have you hung from a tree by your own entrails with just a flick of his finger.
Won't be no wizards to worry about once the Dark Lord returns.
What's the next point? The two Mantle civilians introduced in this episode who appear throughout the volume are based on and voiced by current animation director Joel Mann and former lead animator, now episode director Dustin Matthews. The idea started after one was simply named Drunk Man in the script, which became another joke with Joel given his surname. Not a new occurrence, by the way. Just look at a certain character from Volume 5, and it just grew from there. I don't care. So, like, they based the two guys who seem like normal guys on two guys who are normal guys that they happen to know. What the fucking do? I don't This is what I don't get about the commentary. Okay, so the commentary is supposed to give you a little insight on the creative process. Now, the whole point is to, like, kind of get down and dirty into, like, why things are the way they are, why the decisions you made are. Like, the RWBY commentary, I don't think the RWBY commentary ever has anything worthwhile in it. I really don't. It's why, I think we did one on the Volume 4 commentary years ago, but we haven't, like, done a podcast on any of the other volume commentaries after that. Like, literally, the only reason why I'm reading this now is because I wanted something else to do besides just play this and complain about the same complaints and make all the same observations I did the other 5 times I've played this.
He is too cautious to confront you directly. We
Sorry,
must find
nose.
a vantage from which to strike.
If I can get around this way. I think I can't. Don't think it'll help me much.
Get your swords and axes ready to swing, because it's time we went hunting again.
I want to go middle here. Right under their noses.
Turning any of you against me. I can stop you with my eyes closed and one arm behind my back. If an Uruk is killed in battle, he obviously wasn't worthy of victory.
Trying to be sneaky here.
If you ask me, the glove must have sustained some kind of leg injury in the last fight. Why else would he ride around with a catapult?
What's this ability I can unlock? Still nothing good. I still need more power points to get any of the good shit.
You serve the bright master! Crossbow too! Missed a cannibal at 20 paces yesterday. That never happened. Kill the betrayer!
Hate a bodyguard suffering. Oh, he blocks my attacks?
There you are! We're gonna have some fun. Just you, me, and a rusty blade.
Okay, I'm gonna focus on the fight for no. Hate a burn. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's one of my guys.
Ranger! Get on your knees before
I think this is the guy I was trying to hunt down. No, no, it
It's
wasn't.
not so unpleasant when you get used to it. Got to light the...
Fear of burning. Shit, is that the war chief I'm supposed to be? That is. Shit, where'd he go? Where'd he go? God damn it.
What? Did you hear that?
Oh. Guy I thought was gonna be a trouble is now dead.
Back to work. Tough, all you! Somebody's sneaking around. You fool! Stay put! Not this time!
Oh my god, and he's regenerating. Now I got all these guys on me. Missed. And there goes my other guy. God damn it. And now he's gonna get away. This is pointless. I might as well just give up. Because he's regenerating and there's 500 guys here.
I think he's over there! You still wanna fight?
Come on, get it. I hate this game sometimes. Come on. And the infinitely spawning Uruks are gonna just keep coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. You got too much distance on me now. If I can catch up to him. If I can catch up to him, he's all alone. Come on! Come here, you little bastard. And your fucking regenerating health bullshit. Oh my god! No, no climbing. just fucking got way ahead of me again because of that. I don't have any shadow strikes, and every time I catch up to him, he starts climbing.
Look to the skies with your own patrol.
Guy literally ran the entire, like, width of the map, or length of the map. Let's check the chat. Imperator Draken said, "Did you hear they're making an adaptation of Lord of the Rings with nudity now?" Yeah, I heard that, and it's retarded. Yeah. Alright, let's continue the commentary. Perhaps not too much of a surprise at this point, but this isn't the first time we've seen Pietro. Duh. Again, why is this something that they took the time to say? Like, it's the same design as Volume 3. Next point. An interesting challenge for them this episode was making it clear that the characters who have been to Atlas in the past recognize that they... Yeah, I pointed that out in my top 10 best scenes in Volume 7. Carrie talks about how Atlas being a floating city was one of the things they held on to the most. Yeah, I know, and I've seen people like, oh, but the World of Remnant... First of all, you're using World of Remnant to back your argument. There's your first mistake. Second, curved lines on maps, like the one that was in that World of Remnant, denote elevation. They literally, by having it be a curved dashed line in that World of Remnant, they basically said that it is of a higher elevation than Mantle. And now, when I was writing Ruby on, I took that to mean that it was up in the mountains, like on the mountaintop, and Mantle was like in the valley. But yeah, that Flying City tracks. Adding ice to the Grim was an idea that was had in order to spice up the Grim without having to reinvent them. I saw people complaining about this point because they bring up like Pokemon, like, oh, Pokemon region. There's some Pokemon that are in every Pokemon that are region specific. I was like, yeah, that's how animals work. You know, there's bears all across North America, Europe, and Asia. There's a couple different bear species in South America, but there's none in Africa. Like, bears are just non-existent in Africa. Like, that's how life works. Again, like, yeah, it's kind of weird that they... I mean, if Pokemon's their frame of reference, then Pokemon's their frame of reference. Don't bitch about it. God. There was quite a discussion about what Penny 2.0 would look like. They always knew she would be back because she's a robot, but they never really settled on whether she would be the same. A clone wouldn't have her memories and others. I think they should have had her memory wiped. Yeah. That was the best for that. The level of trust and comfort in Ironwood and the Kingdom of Atlas was a constant balancing act throughout the whole volume. It's also probably the best part of the volume, with them always asking themselves questions like, how does Ironwood and Atlas feel right now? Does it seem too obvious that Ironwood is going to go bad? Would that be out of the blue at this point? Yeah, they did a good job with that.
Is there nothing these Uruk will not desecrate?
For them,
And
beauty
Peter
exists
escaped.
only to
Prack
be
of the
destroyed.
Welts. I didn't even see Prack of the Welts.
A good captain needs to be feared.
I'm gonna try getting him again.
That's how you keep the rabble in line.
I want to head this way.
Thank you.
I am in your debt. Wait.
So we're in chapter 2 now. The casting of Eric the Big Dog Bodur as Forrest came about because of him yelling at players of baseball games that they would go to, in which Connor describes him as the loudest human being I've ever met. So when it came to getting someone to voice a character who yells a lot, okay, yeah, I guess that's funny. Because Forrest is a big Robin fanatic, so they cast a big, like, obnoxious baseball fanatic as the character. That's fun. That's a fun little bit of trivia. Carrie talks about Volume 7 being the time where they wanted to work on more matte paintings to help get more one-off sets and angles without having to spend much more time modeling a 3D environment, and as demonstrated in this episode, that paid off. Paid off is a pretty strong word, but it worked. They're all shields, so that's not gonna work. See, I hate this too. Where like you're trying to do a flurry combination on someone, but then an enemy gets in close, so it like completely interrupts it. Okay, which way am I going? Okay, I'm heading the right way.
Don't forget who the monster is! We should have extra warriors guarding our grog. Not to stop drinking, but to stop the stinking tug from blowing it up. It's too cold, it's too wet, it's too dark.
Okay, where the hell is this guy? This is twice now that I've been in the same area that he's supposedly in, and nothing. Like, get no sign of him.
You're in my sight.
We're just gonna keep killing people and hope that he pops up. God, ghouls are so annoying. Just annoying to listen to. Kind of annoying to fight because they all go down in a hit. But like...
Crosh.
Let's Crush, Skull Crusher. Is that a ghoul matron? That's ghoul matron. Well, it's clear that he's not spawning again, so... I'm gonna kill these ghouls and then... Oh, there's 2 ghoul matrons. Check the chat again. Multiple mishmash references.
I'll be right there waiting for him with my axe raised.
Is it the volume just an allegory for North America? No. Yeah. Alright, gonna continue on with the commentary then.
I was thinking I should get the blacksmith to make
Uh...
my head back, just in case the ranger tries jumping.
With how little the setting changes this episode, they talk about all the small things that are done to keep things interesting for the audience and to keep things in motion, camera movements and character movements and facial expressions. So many small blah blah blah. I don't really fucking care. Connor talks about the balancing act of relieving some of the tension and distrust towards Ironwood scene so far, but still keeping enough so that it makes sense for Ruby to not reveal everything to him. Yeah, again, that's just like one-on-one stuff. Carrie talks about how changing the office entirely was a nice way of changing the setting of a scene without really changing the setting. And Kirsty talks about how nice the visual element of the hologram is a nice change up. Again, it's not a change up though. They've done it. They did it in Volume 3 too. Like in Volume 3 they like they turn off the lights when Crow first shows up and they go to the Ozpin's office. Like they do the exact same thing there. Like it's not, you know, it's not special. I don't get them sometimes. All right. See if I can find this guy. Considering he's supposed to be in the same area and I also haven't like been able to see him, I doubt it, but like
Our orders are coming soon. Shall get ready for war. The tower's back. Brave Walker dies now.
And, like, I don't recall this ever being an issue in this game. Like, this is the first time where, like, captains that are supposed to be popping up in just the world just aren't at all. I wonder if it's because it's like not, it's coded to where it won't just straight up won't let me take down all the captains before the war chief. I fucking hate elf shot. I hate how limited it is. Okay, how long it takes to do this. And my guy was killed by a Caragor. I fucking hate this game sometimes. And now they're all on me. What's the next thing? Carrie talks about, yeah, I already said that. They did that in Volume 3. Here he talks about the tension of the first episode being lifted as we realize that everyone is on the same side here at the start, with Carrie adding on that they wanted the characters and the audience to feel good early in the volume. Yeah, sure. Key part of Ironwood early this volume was showing that he was clearly not the same person we knew in previous volumes. Really, because he seemed exactly the same kind of person, like maybe a little more weary, but that's not a personality shift. That's just how he reacts under different circumstances. Like, okay, here's an actual gripe I have with Miles and Carrie as far as this commentary goes. They think that characters have one personality. Like, they think that is actually a character. They're like, oh yeah, Ruby's character is optimistic. But, you know, it goes back to that Volume 5 monologue with Blake where she's like, everyone is one note. And that is how you should see them. That's not good writing. That is so antithetical to good writing. Like, Ironwood is so good not because, oh, he's such a completely different person under these circumstances, but because he is different under those circumstances. Like, that is what makes him good. Like, he's not reacting the same way to everything. He's not one note. He is a dynamic character who has emotions and has, goals and motivations, and they accidentally made him interesting. God. Carrie talks about how the subtle character movements are often some of the hardest things to get across because it can be difficult to make sure the audience is looking where you want them to. That's why you hire a good cinematographer. Carrie was really glad to get Amity Coliseum involved, although it was incorporated early on. In the writing process, it wasn't a sure thing, but bringing it back felt right. Yeah, they didn't want it to make it immediately obvious that Watts was controlling the traffic signal, so they chose to show him it differently each time, even as subtly as the color changing in his umbrella. I mean, it was immediately obvious to me what was going on. Alright, so Chapter 3. The new outfit reveal and subsequent landing was a throwback to Volume 1's landing strategies. I mean, it wasn't a throwback, it was just another example of it. Like, again, like, landing strategies are supposed to be like a thing in RWBY. Like, that's a thing every huntsman is supposed to have. So, like, it's not a throwback. It's just another time of them using it.
I'm taking over.
My master wants to make mincemeat of you, but we'll do it for him.
God, I did not mean to hit that button. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It's happening again. It's just chaos. It's probably not gonna let me hit the right guy. It didn't. Oh well, at least he's dead.
You already tried that. I'm watching now. Follow me and you weaklings. Die, worm.
Ah,
Wasting my time.
that didn't work.
You won't break my guard that way.
Oh my, that's not what I wanted to grab. That is not. I hate. Alright, let's fast travel to here, and I'll read some of these for a while. Collected 1995 said, if you've been keeping up with Star Wars news, then what do you think of the High Republic? I liked it better when it was the Old Republic. There's the more recent Star Wars books are awful. And I'm not even that big of a fan of the older Star Wars books. I think a lot of times they're overrated.
Ranger! Night won't protect you, scum. Darkness is an ally of the Uruk. We serve the Dark Lord.
I don't know anything about this guy. Apparently he's super vulnerable to that stuff.
You trying again? Suffer me now!
So I got an initiation to do. Alright, one of the main characters to start looking, acting, and learning from professional huntsmen, an idea that came about while originally brainstorming Volume 7, where Miles pitched The idea of making Atlas reminiscent of the Beacon days, originally it started as professors from Atlas Academy teaching them, then it turned more into mentors, and then ultimately it became the idea that these would be Atlas's best of the best. This also added characters that could act as foils and mirrors to many main characters. Okay, like, yeah, a lot of that stuff with Aesop's was pretty obvious. It didn't come across super well, but like it came across well enough. Like, especially with Harriet, like, as soon as Harriet, like, revealed herself, they're like, oh, she's a foil to Ruby. I wonder where this is gonna go. I wonder where this is gonna go, you know, sarcastically. It was super obvious that they were gonna have to fight at some point. But the idea that, like, oh, we wanted them to finally learn from professional huntsmen, and meanwhile, like, the fuck is Crow even? Like, is Crow a joke? Is he not a professional huntsman? Like, he's been with them this entire time as a mentor figure for them, and they're treating him like he's just another one of the kids. Like, that's so weird. It's so weird. Like, they have this super major important character or whatever. Alright. Now where to? Guess, back here? The Aesop's being a 5-person team without a colored related name was very intentional to show right away that Ironwood doesn't really care for Oz's rules. All he wants is an efficient team. So I like Aesop's being used as an example of that. I actually really like it. And I don't know if I pointed that out or not. If I didn't point it out, then I have no idea why it completely slipped my mind, doing the podcast and stuff. Because it's pretty obvious, you know. All teams are 4-man teams except the Aesop's. Yeah, that was done intentionally, and, well, of course it was done intentionally. Why did you have to be like, oh yeah, we did it intentionally? Like, no, you just accidentally made a team that was completely different than all the other teams. You accidentally did that. Yeah, no one would believe you accidentally did that.
Strike as a shadow.
But again, like, this isn't the first example of Ironwood not caring for Oz's rules. Remember in Volume 2 when he was just like, they were here, Osmond, they were here, we should take the fight to them, and Osmond's like, no, we need a scout, not a flag bearer, whatever his line was. You know, talk about sending people to Mountain Glen, which he ended up sending kids instead of a, you know, professional. What am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? The fuck even? What's the mission here? With Shadow Strike.
Poog.
save it in time. Oh, here he comes. Yeah, fear. Oh, he's fear of Caragors too? Nice. I mean, kinda nice. Nice that I still have Shadow Strike. So I can just kind of follow him out of the fortress and then... And of course, now I'm out of Shadow Strike. Come on, where's a rock? Where's a bump? Here's a bump. That's not a bump. Okay. I'm gonna continue reading. Obviously they needed to touch on Blake and Yang's experience with Adam from Volume 6, so they made sure to plaster the STC logo all over. Oh, wow! Imagine an STC mine with the STC logo everywhere. Who would have thought? The Sentinels came about because they wanted a Grim that could stay underground to avoid the harsh climate. Okay, yeah, sure. The fight was really supposed to go on a little longer. Wish they were going to introduce the alpha variant of the Sentinel. Yeah, whatever. Some of the weapon upgrades were bigger than others. Yeah, we could see that. Like, again, that is text. That's not subtext. That's not behind the scenes stuff. That's just fact. They're just restating what is happening on the screen. That is all they are doing. They wanted to break Crow out of his loner persona. He hasn't been a loner since Volume 3. Again, like, do they forget that he's been with Team Ranger since Volume 4? Like, did they forget writing all that stuff? 'Cause it seems like they forgot writing all that stuff. I think this is a boss battle coming up, so I'm gonna... Actually... I can't do that. Sorry I'm not, like, really reading the chat. I'm trying to, like, play the game, keep y'all entertained visually, and also give my thoughts on the commentary. And so, like, sorry if I'm not really reading the chat the way I usually do. I'm actually gonna get a... advance time so I don't have to keep running into fucking ghouls. Carrie was adamant about the idea of having Aesop's take down the Geist without help. Yeah, they did. Was unsure about, but eventually came to love. Carrie wanted to make sure that, with the limited time they had, the Aesops were shown to be everything they were said to be. Yeah, kind of proves that Carrie has better story sense than Miles, although that is a relative statement. Unmark the target. Can I unmark? Huh. Wonder what this will do. Accept. Yeah, I'm gonna kill wrong slave master so that this guy gets promoted to war chief.
Blades out, lads. Don't go let the damn thing sneak by. Not like before.
Someone's sneaking about. It's the talk.
How much damage does this do? Not much. Mean that this guy, yep, alright, yep, I got the stronger guy as my war chief now. It's probably my strongest war chief, too. Alright. Should I dominate Prak or should I kill him? Because I've been trying to get him a couple times now. To no avail.
Someone's sneaking about.
But yeah, as far as the Aesop's thing goes, like, yeah, I don't know why Miles was like, oh, you know, it's a Geist, it's a Frostus Gigas. We've seen Team Ranger take one down by themselves. Like, duh. Like, come on. Chapter, that brings us to chapter 4, though. Oh, there's not very many points on this. First draft of the script, the whole first scene actually took place in Ironwood's office in the graduation ceremony. Yeah, kind of weird for it to be in Amity, honestly. Paula really liked the idea of Blake being the one to come up and support Weiss first. Yeah. Although the whole recognizing an abusive relationship, that's pretty meh, but like the fact that Blake's also tied up with the whole SDC shenanigans. The graduation scene was Dustin's directorial debut. Adding on to that, Carrie talks about how his moment is almost a hollow, empty version of what the characters and the audience might have expected back in Volume 1. Penny cutting the cake with her swords wasn't in the script, but was an idea from storyboard artist Cassidy Stone. The Ruby Crow conversation subsequent summer mention was barely in the outline for the episode and was mostly part of a wish list of things they would like to get to if they have the time, which most of the time they don't. Luckily, they did get the opportunity here, which worked well considering the moment involving Summer in Chapter 11. Yeah, it's a good thing they got that taken care of. The shot of Watts coming through the door was tricky because his model's arm wouldn't swing backwards the same way the door does. So to fix it, there's actually two Wattses with one behind the door whose hand we see on the door. Kind of weird. Kind of weird that they had to do that. Chapter 5 also doesn't have very many points. The montage was a result of the writers wanting to show the characters doing Huntsman work and doing Huntsman things, but realizing they wouldn't have the time to spread it out or do it in a later episode. I mean, that's why you do a montage, yeah. There was a debate as to whether the penguins seen in the tundra would have been grim penguins, but as Carrie rightfully puts it, they didn't have to reveal the final boss. Oh, yeah, that's a joke. That's a joke, guys. Carrie was trying to be funny. The encounter with Robin was a late addition to the episode outline. Yeah, we could kind of tell that Robin was shoehorned in at the last minute. Another reason for the late addition was the plot line of the supplies being taken to Mantle, which was also added in relatively late. Yeah, we could tell that that was all shoehorned in at the 11th hour. Carrie and Connor had a debate over whether Weiss would be able to sit on the hard light block, but ultimately Carrie relented. Based on the conversation, it seems like the dark and light parts of the block behave differently. I don't know why that would be an issue. The scene in the medical facility was a bit different in the initial outline. Originally, Winter would receive an alert message from Ironwood. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good insight, like how the script slightly changed throughout the writing process. Alright. I'll do Chapter 6 after this.
I don't care for these brutish displays. I'll end it quickly.
I'm only looking for questions in the chat. Like, I'm not going to read every single comment. I mean, I'm reading them all, but I'm not going to say them all like I usually do. Eclectic 1995 asks, why was Oz so hung up over the 4-person team thing? Because that was Monty's idea. Why didn't Oz just send some pro-huntsmen then? Because plot. Yeah. Alright, let's do this trial by ordeal.
Clock.
Damn it. Didn't get there in time. Now he's even stronger. Well, since we're out in the... He's invulnerable to stealth rallies.
Ranger!
Oh.
Think you're so quiet?
Block me with invisible axes.
When I kill you. He can't fool me.
I was expecting some people to jump down here and annoy me.
Clear off! I'm no glob. I remember that.
Oh! That killed him. Well. Oh well. I wasn't expecting that to kill. I wasn't expecting it to be that high of a fall. Okay. Guess I'm ready for, this. Chapter 6. The middle chunk of the volume went through many iterations. The solution came from Eddie, who, while being ill at the time, had a dream about the episode, which ended up mostly being the outline for the chapter, notably putting Tyrion at the scene with some characters. One iteration had one of the main characters there at all, had none of the main characters there at all, and another version had Blake, Yang, and Marrow there spying from the rafters. Yeah, that's interesting. Penny being framed wasn't in the first draft of the season outline. Originally, they kept with the idea of framing Ironwood and Atlas by having Tyrion make it look like Atlas soldiers opened fire on Mantle civilians. Eddie's fever dream changed that to having Tyrion frame Ruby, which they then changed to Penny. Yeah, I have no idea how they were gonna do that with Ruby. All your Nora shippers have Joe Nicolosi to thank for being the one to make the note about Ren and Nora kissing in this episode. Whoop-de-doo. An old draft had everyone in Ironwood, because Ironwood isn't as a part of everyone, I guess, doing an investigation in the warehouse after the massacre. There was also a montage in Chapter 5 at the time. Instead, it was everyone sitting around a table telling stories. So, yeah, they were like, hey, we had the scene where, like, everyone's sitting around a campfire telling stories, or we could just montage it, and they went with the better option. Chapter 3, they tried to get in a bonding moment between Blake and Marrow over what it's like being a Faunus, where Marrow would have offered his perspective of not just being a Faunus and Atlas, but also being the most elite team of the kingdom has. After having to cut it out of Chapter 3, it was moved to this chapter, but as this chapter went through its own rewrites, it had to be left out again. Maybe we'll get to that. When they started with the volume, they didn't want to do anything political. Bullshit. I'm not even going to read the rest of that. The ending of the episode was, again, Eddie's idea. Chapter 7 has a lot of notes, so I'm gonna run around like a madman. Actually, I'm gonna get a Caragor and write it.
Something just moved over there!
So while the Caragor is chewing them up, I'm gonna go this way. Time to come to launch your assault against the Black Hand. Alright. Chapter 7. Due to the way they recorded the commentary this year, this episode is the last episode they recorded. As a result, their energies are, as Miles accurately puts it, manic. nobody cares. Fiona's semblance was originally going to be Torchwick's, and it was called Deep Pockets. I wish they would have had it as Torchwick's because it really fits his character. And it would also dissuade all the like, oh, but why don't they just do it on Salem? Which I find really, really annoying. It's like these people have never seen a hammer space power before, because there's limits. Like, oh, why doesn't Fiona just suck Salem into it? Because she's not strong enough to suck Salem into it. It's that simple. And yeah, I still see people on a weekly basis being like, oh, well, why don't they just use Fiona's semblance? Some of the scene in Ironwood's office actually happened in the first draft of Chapter 4, where they had found out about Tyrion much earlier in the volume. Eddie likes that they were able to reappropriate it for Chapter 7, and how there are 3 distinct scenes in Ironwood's office from the start, middle, and end of the volume, and how things fall apart gradually between them. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't really make that connection. Miles got to write the small dossier on Tyrion that appears, which was one of his favorite things to write. Getting to slip in his own headcanon of how Tyrion met Salem was a lot of fun. It's not headcanon. Miles is the writer. There were several different versions of the end of the scene, one having Ren delve a bit more into why he's feeling the way he's feeling. But they decided to push it to later on, knowing they were going to explore that in Volume 8. Blake and Yang scene initially had them talking more specifically about Adam. Yeah, I saw that again, like, it tracks. It worked. They succeeded. Every volume. Not a whole lot of main character interaction in most of the volumes. And in this one, it's a little more apparent because Ironwood is kind of the main character of the volume. And he does get a lot of those interactions, so, like, it kind of also isn't apparent. Hold on. Alright, where was I? This leads to a talk about how they often reuse hairstyles and other assets to help keep the budget down, and how that practice often leads to the community to mistake things like people being related, the thirsty moms dying in the massacre, and the kids in this chapter being orphans now. Having the late edition of the storyline of Amity taking supplies from Mantle and tying it in with the moment with Blake and Yang worked out really well, according to Eddie. Plus, it gave them the opportunity to introduce Robin's semblance sooner. I did have that in my top 10 worst scenes, but I also said that, like, if they're gonna have a scene like that, it makes sense for it to be Yang and Blake. Like I said that in my review. Miles talks about how badly Ironwood wants guidance from Osmond, but they make so many points in this commentary as well as throughout the series that Ironwood doesn't care about Osmond's rules. So why would he want to seek guidance from Osmond? Like, this doesn't work. Eddie likes being able to layer an exposition but with character. Like, it feels natural for Ironwood to be giving the information about the relic and Atlas because it's trying to appeal to Oz. The full scene was a tricky one to write because it's trying to accomplish many things all at once, from the state of both characters, rules of the relic, Ironwood's flashback, setting up the chess piece, and Oscar and Osmond's merging. Animu asked, what do you think about the headcanon that Winter barely uses her glyphs and dust to her full capacity because of her resentment towards Jacques' headcanon. She uses them a lot against Crow, so I don't buy it. Chapter 8 does not have very many points. Miles says it was fun writing Whitley this episode because of how people probably feel about him at the start versus the end. They don't really do anything to change him, though. When Miles wrote Junior's shenanigans, it was only something that was a few seconds long. Yeah, I think it just got dragged out. Dustin talks about how the subtle details put into the dining room scene, from Jacques having the big chair in his side of the table being the ones with wine, to Penny not being given any food. Miles likes to imagine that the candles in Schneeman are all holographic, because lighting them all every day seems like the worst job. Okay, that's funny. I like that. I didn't see that wasn't part of the Reddit breakdown. I like that. That's actually a really cool note because, like, yeah, it really doesn't make sense. And like Skyrim is a big example. Skyrim has all these candles and torches in all the dungeons. Like, who lights these?
We wish to thank you.
I'm getting uncomfortable here. Miles likes to imagine... Okay, yeah, I just read that. There was a conversation whether to put Willow in the volume opening, but Miles was adamant about holding on to that moment. Yeah, it works. Miles says that Willow's scene was really important to him, and how much anger, resentment, sorrow, and regret is at play on both sides, and mentions a time when he was a kid, when he had to help an adult with an adult problem, and the idea of not knowing how to act was something Miles wanted to get across with Weiss, except for the fact that Weiss is like 20 at this point.
It's good to see you in better
So
health.
she's not a little kid.
The boats are ready.
Also, about this cutscene that's playing right now, all these good Uruks, they don't have the glow on them.
Well, I should think as long as I like. I'm in your debt.
We owe you our lives, Talion.
Just put an end to this.
Miles says Willow scene was really important. Yeah. Alright, chapter 9.
My lady.
Figuring out exactly when and how Mantle would start falling apart was a huge challenge, with Kiersey and Eddie doing a lot of back and forth with the episode, making changes and looking at each other's work, and doing lots of reordering of scenes. Okay, that tracks. They put a lot of work into the orange color of the heating and Mantle early on in this season, so that the bleak, cold aesthetic changes in the later episodes would be effective. Yeah, actually, that is actually a really good visual detail. I kind of missed first time watching and doing like all the podcasts and stuff. But yeah, after Voss shuts it down, it goes to a gray tone instead of an orange.
I see in the future the shadow that will cover Middle-earth. The Grave Walker is a tiny flame. We are the poison sea! We will spill misery out across Mordor! We will wash away the light! Drown the air with Uruk cries, and the earth with Uruk blood! Today, we for Middle-earth! Break his bones! Crack his skull! Give me only makes me stronger!
So many berserkers.
The mark you left on me still burns, hot and deep. seen that before. Bleed for me! I recognize that move. Cursed talk. Can't you see we've already won?
We are at the final reckoning. The fortress of the Black Hand. This is a trap. This silence taunts us. What sorcery is at work here?
Is this actually the end of the game? I thought I had... Did I already do the second boss that's like just a little bit of stealth? No, I think this is that... No, I think this is the stealth boss.
I wasn't expecting you. I hope my soldiers gave you a welcome.
Yeah, I think this is the stealth boss.
Show yourself! This is the work of the tower.
Yeah, the tower.
Black Hand went looking for you. But it will give me great pleasure to take you myself.
Yeah, another boss in big air quotes.
Bow to me. And I will deliver you to the Dark Lord, unspoiled.
We bow to no one.
The Dark Lord forgives you, Celebrimbor. Return to him and cast off this.
Alright. Before I get... Kinda like this cutscene though.
And fight.
There's no need, Ranger. Celebrimbor is your curse. He chose you.
Silence!
And he can release you at any time. Yes, that's all you are, Ranger. A vessel for the Ringmaker. As you wish. What joy it is to fight such weakness, such pain, such a broken mind.
I think that's the first time in all these playthroughs I've ever been grabbed by him. Kinda wanna see what happened. Oh, come on, get... No, on there.
What do you still
Move.
fight for? Or of what you think?
You You taught me to fight.
You have walked through the grave many times. I shall.
Ah! Of course, he fucking turned right as I was. So if he gets me twice, I'm dead.
You think you can defeat the Great Queen? Could not even rid you. Your body is strong, and your thoughts are broken. And I will shatter your pain.
No, 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 no.
It's for us. I denounce you as my father.
How can you purge darkness in this land? Purge darkness. Are you ready for this battle? So, no. Not against us.
I am not worth your vengeance. Why do you fight?
Come on, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around.
The future to the rightful Mordor. You will never see your family again.
Mother Christ.
Pretty brutal.
Wish to.
Alright, next thing, chapter 9, figure out how... yeah, a tricky part of directing the episode was plotting Ironwood's mood throughout, as there's a lot of ups and downs with him.
I can't leave you.
Yeah, again, like, that's just text, that's just them restating what happens.
The Black Hand remains. Not for long.
They tried to show Ironwood's... Oh, outlining this episode was difficult because it was the point where all the main storylines of the volume came together and are seemingly resolved, which was done intentionally to amplify the effect of pulling the rug out from under everyone in Chapter 11. It was a way of creating a setup episode without really making one. Yeah, and it would be better if they didn't do that.
Return to Queen Marwen. The Black Hand has been here. I can feel it.
Lothariel.
Where was you at? Out hunting.
I was guarding sword.
keep on going. Okay, next point. They tried to show Ironwood's instincts of turning away from people as much as possible as a way of showing how he should be doing the opposite instead. Having Oscar's hint towards one of Ozpin's memories was an example of them putting small references in to remind people of things that they don't always have time to go into details about. They struggled for a long time figuring out which episode they would bring Neo and Cinder into the fray, but they liked it here because it's a moment where things have started to look good everywhere else, but here's something right at the end so you don't get too comfortable. Chapter 10. This was a complex episode, having to start from scratch multiple times. It wasn't actually all that complex. It was mostly just grim fights. Yeah, 11 was the complex episode. Take you through the end of the journey, but once you finish, you'll be returned to continue where you left off. Ooh. I've been going for about an hour and a half. Let's finish this, and then we'll finish the game. It's important to give Ironwood this big moment of him. Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. The opening long shot was also complex, but was effective for portraying the overall chaos of the episode and upping the intensity. Having a long shot like that also meant they wouldn't need to saturate the background in other scenes. The moment with Weiss's Knight and Marrow was intended to set up their final fight in Chapter 12. Don't actually remember that. The episode was one of the most intensive for editorial, especially Ironwood's speech, sorting out the flow and figuring out which visuals to use. There was a debate whether to show Neo and Cinder or Tyrion and Watts first because of Ironwood's line in that moment, and they chose the former to give a brief moment where they think their cover's been blown. It was important to give Ironwood this moment of him really being genuine and doing the right thing, giving us a glimpse as to how things could have turned out. Again, that's just text. There was some restructuring of Mantle to make sure the Alpha Megaliath could fit in the streets. Why did they have to restructure Mantle? They built Mantle for this volume. Why did they just make the streets wider to start? It's been great to see effects originating from early on in the show. Neon, Rainbow Trail, Neo's transformation, Penny's Kamehameha get updated now that there are dedicated teams for that kind of thing. Okay, 11 has a lot of points. Sorry. Alright. The gravity biome was first seen in Volume 3. We already knew that. Again, this is all stuff from the Volume 3 commentary. Because of how much needed to and did happen in this episode, there were a number of cuts, the most notable being the fight with Tyrion. Yeah, I heard that there was going to be like several chase scenes with him, but they ended up just having them gang up on him to make it a lot quicker. Carrie often saves things on Reddit that he sees that are interesting. One of those things was a 20-shot revolver that ended up inspiring Watts' weapon. Okay, that's neat. Carrie got the idea for Watts' weapon by seeing guns on Reddit. The Ally fight was originally more of a 1v1 between Crow and Tyrion, with Clover and Robin. Again, I just said that, like, they just gang up on him. There were also intentional callbacks to Crow and Tyrion's fight from Volume 4. Yeah, Team Ranger just isn't as good as Robin and Clover. Team Ranger per Volume 4 isn't as good as Robin and Clover. The characters returning to Atlas was another scene that was cut down a bit. There was going to be a bit more discussion about where Oscar was, and there was a bit where they all would land, and someone delivered a handwritten note from Ironwood saying they'd been compromised, resulting in confusion. Miles talks about how everything else in the episode just needed to work in order to support the scene in Ironwood's office. Yeah, for Miles, the scene broke up into 3 parts: the onset paranoia, the arrival of Salem, and then the processing of everything after Salem leaves. Team Ruby and Salem finally actually meeting each other for the first time in the series was a big moment for Miles. The big discussion and discourse over Ironwood and whether he's doing is right or wrong is exactly what they wanted to happen. Yeah, again, it was a better thing in the volume. Miles likes the idea that Salem makes it personal for Ironwood in the scene, and he feels like he has to be the one to come up with the solution, with it being another small moment that tips the scale. Miles says he would have liked to see more discussion about that moment when the two are face to face. They wanted to have more Cinder and Neo stuff to happen this volume, but realized they couldn't get as much as they wanted. To fix that balance, they needed to make sure that both of them had huge roles to play in the fall of Ironwood and Atlas. Yeah. Miles talks about how the perfect season doesn't exist and there will always be things that could have been done better. The number one thing they cared about with Volume 7 was making sure that this moment with Ironwood felt believable, even if they failed in other places. Yeah, and it worked. Making sure the reactions and decisions of the Aesops felt believable was another challenge, considering how much time we've spent with them, so they went out of their way to have moments in the volume to reinforce their feelings. Alright, Chapter 12. Kiersey talks about how everyone is operating on incomplete information with no immediate way to ask questions, so everyone is just acting on their first thoughts, which isn't always the best idea and plays into the franticness of the situation. Hey, you know what would have solved that? Waiting until they landed in Atlas, where they were going to go meet up with Ironwood regardless. Dustin says his biggest contribution to the volume was making sure Tyrion got the pilot's hat. That was pretty cool. Thank you, Dustin. The way they would handle the writing in episodes like this was to each handle different storylines, then swap and give notes for this episode. Eddie generally handled the Penny and Winter scenes and Ruby vs. Aesop stuff, while Kiersey did the rest. The same basic idea applied to the directing too, with Connor making the former and Dustin the latter. There was discussion over whether Ruby vs. Aesop's fight would take place entirely in Ironwood's office or would it extend outside. Carrie talks about learning from Volume 5 that having several fights in one big room doesn't turn out too well, and that despite wanting to show the chaos, they need to be sure they aren't asking too much of the crew to handle multiple fights simultaneously. They learned! Yeah. We could tell that from watching the episode. The sets of Ironwood's office and the rooms outside were designed knowing that the fight was going to happen. Yet they couldn't design the mantle streets to knowing that the Goliaths were going to happen. The three-way fight between Crow, Clover, and Tyrion was a pivotal moment in the outlining and in writing. Having this moment be competing loyalties with different objectives. Kiersey talks about how Clover just had no idea what he's up against with Tyrion, and that seeing Crow as the larger threat was a big mistake. Carrie talks about how they also wanted to make it clear that Tyrion is manipulating the both of them. They did kind of a terrible job with that. It was important to make it believable that Ruby could beat the Aesops, but they didn't want it to just be a stomp either. That spawned the idea of having Ruby use the same restraints that were used on them back in Chapter 1, and also the idea of Ruby having an emotional connection. Yeah, and Clover being a cheat code. Yeah, again, I've defended that fight before. Nothing I could add here. The shot of Cinder in the hallway was one of the earliest concepts in the outlining of the fight between the three, and was a rare moment of an early idea making it all the way through production without being changed. It's a pretty good image. Cinder just has a really good design. The idea of having another Crow and Tyrion fight was another very early idea that Miles and Carrie wanted before outlining of the volume had got underway. Whoever wrote up this doc has terrible grammar, just saying. Alright, final episode and a lot of points. I think I'm gonna go ahead and start this final mission and then read it as I go.
I am not worth your vengeance, Father. Why do you fight?
Also, this doc, I think I either skipped it or whoever wrote up the doc skipped it from the Reddit outline, but like, there's the whole thing about retcons and stuff, and I did a retcon video, and I think I might have to do this in a separate video, because I when it comes to retcons, I really don't want to go off the cuff. I really want to have like a script.
But we took it from them.
Ag Buzum Ishi Krimpatul.
Yeah, like there are retcons when it comes to Aura, mostly with the whole passive-active thing that they kind of flip back and forth on until Volume 3. In Volume 3, they came pretty strong on the side of, like, active. But in Volume 2 especially, they really treated it as passive.
It was mine to keep.
Be gone.
Sauron knows we're here.
Let's not keep him waiting.
Mount Doom. Alright, gonna read more. In an early version of the Penny and Winter vs. Cinder fight had Penny being knocked into the hall with all the busted AK-200s that Cinder would then puppeteer using her powers, which led to Miles questioning why Cinder didn't just use her powers to blow through the wall, which led to the fight going outside.
Lord of gifts.
I think those are all my war chiefs up there.
Feel the true power of the Grave Walker!
First Talon of the Hand.
Grave Walker! It was an honor to serve under the tower. I'll mount your head on the spikes of the Black Gate for what you did to him. Turning into a right bloody nuisance, aren't ya? You'll find my neck a little harder than the tower's. Ranger! You're the one who tried to save the witch's fisher folk. But you turned your back, and we made him scream.
Yeah, so many shield guys. So many shield guys are so annoying.
You're making a big mistake, Ranger. The Orcs will be avenged.
Just one down. The fifth Talon. Oh my god. Here goes one of my guys. I want to jump over. That's not who I want to jump over either.
Stay put! If he was here, it's not now! He'll be fine. Can't help us.
This will finish as it started, with shadow and flame falling on the Black Gate. The hammer and the tower are dead. Sauron is still weak. Without the power of the One Ring or the Ringmaker.
Read more of these. Logistical problem having the three of them start in one place, having them leave, and then having Cinder come back before the others led to the nice moment of having Penny make the more human choice of saving Winter rather than colder, more logical choice. Yeah. It makes Miles' idea to have. It was Miles' idea to have Neo transform into Nora. Okay. Eddie talks about how it was an interesting exercise in getting every character to land where they wanted in this finale, knowing that some characters were taking small steps with the full steps to come in Volume 8. In an extremely chaotic, stressful, and for Freya confusing moment, it meant a lot for the first thing Penny says to her is to ask if she's okay, with many other things going through her mind and the many things she could have said. Her saying that speaks a lot to Penny as a person. There were also a lot of talks about how the Maiden Powers actually transfers, and at one point the idea of Penny having to actually kill Freya was on the table. They wanted a way for it to feel satisfying but not too convenient, while still being sad and not disturbing. One of the original ideas was to have Penny interface with the aura transfer machine, but they didn't want it to feel like Penny was stealing the power from Winter, so in the end they made it Freya's decision. That's good. Oscar is one of Miles' favorite characters of the volume. Carrie talks about how Ironwood is, in this moment, is still wanting and expecting Osmond to show up because despite believing in his ideas, he still wants that guidance. Yeah, that doesn't work. The vault scene was, along with Osmond's monologue, one of the final things written for the episode. Miles talks about Ironwood believing he's doing what's best and what he feels backed into a corner and is doing the only sensible thing. But they completely undercut that by having his semblance be exactly this. Miles loves that since gaining the Maiden's powers was something she had been working towards and was so confident in making her own. Winter has the ability to immediately read the situation and make the call of buying Penny time even without her aura. The interchanging scene between Penny and Oscar was quite different originally, with them being more separate rather than concurring. There were two small lines in the middle of Osmond's monologue that they were stuck on for the good portion of the day, and it was also the day they had to deliver the script. They knew they wanted Volume 7 and 8 to be one cohesive piece, so it was important for them for the only person to come out of Volume 7 in a good place was Salem. Oscar and Ozpin's first exchange was an important one. Miles calls the whale Monstro because Pinocchio. In the credits, they talk about recording the commentary for Volume 7 while Kirby is working on Volume 8. The writing team was working on Volume 9. Again, we knew all that stuff. So, that's the commentary. Not much of that. I was able to read through those and just a lot of does and a lot of, that's just how writing works. A lot of stuff like that. I can't remember where this ladder. I think it's here. Oh, come on. Is that's elf shot. Not that I need it for this boss, but not that I'm gonna need it, period, because I'm probably never gonna play this game again after today. I really just have no desire to replay it for a fourth time, or to do all the side missions and stuff again. But yeah, I do plan on eventually, probably in the summer, I'll do videos on I might actually do a writer's workshop sometime in the summer where I talk about retcons and plot holes, and it just seems like interesting stuff to talk about. You gotta be flexible. You gotta leave yourself open to new ideas as you're writing a long form story. And I've been teasing that I might one day do an honest look at Aura for a while, for a couple of years now, so that's on the docket as well. Now for the lamest boss in video game history.
you a second chance. To stand by his side. Now I give you no choice. We shall be sealed together in death.
So be it.
Return to me,
Strike out on him! I cannot hold him for much longer!
Oh, hit the wrong button. I got that notification.
Strike out on him! I cannot hold him for much longer!
That's it. That's the final boss. Hit X twice, do 2 of the mini games, and you're done. Do 2 of the mini games and then mash square, and then you're done.
The Black Hand of Sauron is dead. The Hither Shore is calling us.
Yep, all that build up.
This is no longer
It is
our
a
battle.
freaking quick time event.
I tried fighting you. It can't be done.
Could you really rest for all of eternity, knowing that you had the chance to stop him, but did nothing?
That's a painting. Pretty good painting.
The time has come for a new ring.
To be continued in a game I've never played because this game kind of sucks, honestly. Like it's fun. It's a lot of fun with the meta game, like kind of prescribing the personalities to the orcs. But yeah. So, I read the Volume 7 commentary, I finished Shadows of Mordor. Pretty productive stream, and I've only been going for like 2-ish hours? A little over 2 hours, so, yeah, I'm gonna call it, I'm gonna make sure no one donated a stream last year, because this was a lot more popular stream than usual. Yep, no donations. So thank you all for watching. Now off my hard drive, probably permanently. Don't know when the next stream is gonna be. I'll do weekly updates every Friday. But next time. Well, the next stream will probably be the election. That's coming up in about a week. And I'm gonna do what I did during the midterm 2018 and play Red Dead Redemption 2. So Red Dead Redemption 2 will be the next stream. Whether I do continue a playthrough I've already beaten, or if I start a new game, or if I try to find out where I left off on the story mode. that's something I'll figure out later. Yeah. Oh, setting off fireworks. Yeah, those are definitely fireworks. So, yeah, this is it. No more shadows. No more door. So, thank you all for watching and have a good day.